Yo, what's up? So, I was asked to do a tier list quite a few times on my stream, and a lot of you guys like the longer form content of me just being chill, not having that sort of script in front of me, just reading off of that, and just kind of sitting down and talking. So, this is going to be a small little tier list. Maybe not too small. I don't know how long it's going to go, but we'll see. Either way, not too many edits, just kind of speak my mind. But yeah, we'll see. Hope you guys enjoy the video. And skip to anywhere timestamps will be listed across the video or in the description below on what champion or any hero you want to go to. So yeah, enjoy. But yeah, we have every single hero laid out, from duelist to vanguards to strategists, just kind of random duelists, not any order or anything. So, but we just have the duelist coming up first. So yeah, let's go with them. Bucky Barnes. Bucky was insanely strong in my opinion in season 0. But I ran into Wanted a few times, and even when that character was unbanned, he still was just locking in Mantis, so I wasn't too sure about where he stood in their brain. But yeah, in my opinion, I was trying to get a good judge about where he's at, but couldn't. Up until season 1 now, I'm seeing every single person play him as their secondary. It's just StarLord, Psylocke, Bucky Barnes, or Hela. I wouldn't say he's S tier, but I would say the overheal he gets is already super strong, and he's one of the only other duelists that give Thor a pretty hard time, especially one that has no mobility. I would say he has very low mobility, but he just catches tanks out really easily, and not a lot of players respect the hook. I can't lie. I will actually like go into comms and call that thing out constantly to say hook whenever I hear it. Yeah, I think he's very good. Not S tier, but I think he's incredibly strong, and with the rocket team up, I think that he can be almost S tier. He can get ultimate charges off of Loki clones as well, and I believe Loki to be a very strong strategist right now, so that goes hand in hand with him just being in the meta, working well against another good hero. So for Bucky, I put him strong A tier. Next up, we have the Hawkeye-anator. Hawkeye, I feel like, got his nerf, he got his calling. Not too good anymore in my opinion, just because he has to get super close to hit targets now. The nerf to Hawkeye, the big one was reduce the triggering distance of passive ability Archer's Focus from 60 meters to 40 meters. So basically, his passive will not trigger unless he's 40 meters close, which it used to be 60, but now it's 40. And then reduce the maximum additional damage of the passive from 80 to 70. So a damage nerf is always pretty big, but then just the fact that he has to get closer. Any sniper does not want to be close to any of the diving targets. They have to be anywhere near. So the fact that he has to be a bit closer now makes him pretty weak. I don't see many Hawkeyes, and he's left open constantly. The main bans that I'm constantly seeing are going to be the ones that are in S tier, and you'll see those. But with that knowledge and the fact that I can handle him pretty well in Thor, I don't think he's honestly that super strong. He doesn't give me a hard time. I feel like because he puts himself in hard situations and spots because he has to be closer, he just kind of is poo-poo. I can always take him out, and he can't cancel my ultimate anymore as Thor. So with that being said, I feel like Hawkeye's a big B tier. Not too amazing, not too amazing. Next up in line, we have the Punisher-anator. I feel like Punisher, again, like Bucky Barnes, can be put on this super high pedestal if he has Rocket Raccoon, but without it. Obviously, this is a hero tier list, not a team-up tier list. So Punisher, I say that he is pretty meh. I don't think he sucks, but I don't think he is anything huge. I feel like his shotgun is insanely strong, and it does what it's meant to do, which is shredding tanks. But besides that, I don't think Punisher has much going for him. His turret's super strong, but his ultimate can be line of sighted pretty hard. I feel like you don't really need the Luna Snow ultimate anymore like you used to. It is strong when you have the rocket bonus as well, because you can kill enemies through, like the Cloak and Dagger or Luna Snow ultimate. But besides that, yeah, I don't think Punisher has much going for him. But I don't think he's that weak either. I think he's just kind of meh in the middle. I'd put him just under Hawkeye in B tier. Next, we have Iron Fist. I don't think Iron Fist is that strong, but I feel like every single character can have their moments. I honestly, if I could have my way with this tier list and just put everybody in A tier, I would, because I feel like every single character in this entire game can be played better than everyone puts them at, and no character is just completely poo-poo caca. There are some that are just unplayable, but then you have the team-up bonuses that make them just way better, and then you can look at like top 500 players that are on a PC. that play characters that I'm going to put in D tier, and they play them perfectly and then play them at high rank. So yeah, some of these characters just need the love and the craft of someone that actually wants to put the effort in, but obviously not everyone has that time and not everyone's doing that, so these characters' common player base is going to be rated a lot lower. But with that being said, Iron Fist, I do feel like that character can get the job done. I feel like he can do work, but a good Hela will take him out almost always. He has his counter, but I feel like his counter doesn't do too much to help him. It is kind of what gives him a little bit of a shield. And I feel like maybe if he had a way to like stun a target, kind of like in Smash Bros, where if he gets a parry off, he can like maybe shoot something back at you and to stun you. But the fact that he kind of is just left vulnerable afterwards still, it makes it, in my opinion, just worthless. I think he's a really strong hero because he can be played funky and jump around like a monkey. But besides that, he doesn't really have too much going for him. And a lot of the other ranged targets do more damage and are ranged. So with that being said, a character with not much going for him and his team up is already pretty poo. I'm gonna have to throw Iron Fist in C tier. He's gonna be our first C tier character. There's not many of them, but he is one of them. Next up in line, we have Tony. Tony is massive with the Gamma buff. I feel like he is a monster. Everyone always knows that. You know, you have the Hulk Gamma buff with Doctor Strange and Iron Man. It makes them both monsters, but without that bonus, I don't think Tony is that strong. I feel like he's a force to be reckoned with, but without that bonus, he kind of just flies around like a jack moron, and you're never gonna see him being picked ever. I guarantee that. So because Tony's not that strong, but when you do see him with that Gamma bonus, he kind of wrecks shit. I'll throw him into B tier. I do think that he has a lot going for him with his ultimate, and his mobility is a lot higher than some of the other flying characters like Storm. But still, with that being said, he's a character that's like never picked without Hulk, so I don't really feel like he can be that high up at all. Especially because of where I put this next character in line right here, Mr. Spider-Man. So with Spider-Man, you've obviously seen Necros and why Andrew pop off. It's kind of crazy how much work they do whenever you see those two together. They make the character bunch of Spider-Man and Venom go from a solid D tier combination to like A to S. You see how much work Spider-Man can do when he gets his one-shot potential finally available, and you see how much work Venom can do with that big slow that he has, but still, obviously, those two heroes are very meh. They're still just very meh. But nevertheless, I do feel like Spider-Man has a lot of potential just without Venom. He falls so short and he does just kind of no damage. He's one of those characters that I feel like a lot of players would find toxic if he was meta, but at the same time, he's incredibly hard. He's very challenging, he's difficult. I feel like the amount of work that players put into him should be rewarded with the amount of damage you can do. But again, he has that damage potential as long as he has Venom. It just kind of blows to see the state that Venom's in because he can't really do anything against triple supports. And if he is going in constantly against like a Mantis or a Luna Snow, finding those dives and finding those one-shot angles, it does feel still pretty miserable to play against like a Loki with runes, and just having that extra support potential is annoying as Venom, and you can't really get that one shot off. With Spider-Man though, I feel like he can wreak havoc, and I do feel like those two characters are good, but by himself, Spider-Man's got to go in D tier. I think that Spider-Man is honestly one of the worst characters in the entire game by himself, and whenever I see one, I just laugh. He never can do anything. He doesn't pressure enough at all on offense or defense, and I just think that he, even with Necros level, cannot do anything at all. He needs his damage output, and without Venom, he doesn't have it at all. So yeah, Spider-Man in D tier is going to be our first D tier. Next up, we have the Alpha AIDS, Miss Hela. She is very, very annoying to deal with still to this day. She got a small buff, reducing her base health from 275 to 250. It was already 250 in the beta, but for some reason they buffed it to 275. Then they bit the bullet, ate their words, put it back down. So that's kind of cool, but at the same time, Hela still does a lot of damage. She still wrecks house. That HP nerf is helpful. It's nice, but I still put her in A tier. I think there's a big difference between mobility and like dashes, and Hela has this random escape where she can kind of fly around, but if your team calls that ability out and you see it as Thor, you can handle her pretty easily, and I'd imagine as any other diving character, if Thor can handle her pretty well, then Psylocke, I imagine, can do a lot of work against her, and StarLord, they can just kind of dash around. But besides that, you have characters like Captain America who can still come in pretty hard, Venom, Magneto even can just run her down. I do feel like Hela is strong because of her range, but besides that, I mean, she has to deal with Doctor Strange consistently jumping on top of her whenever she ulties, and she has to deal with a lot of the characters that can just dive her, and her escape is pretty pretty meh compared to a lot of other characters like Namor, Psylocke, StarLord. Her dash is just pretty puny, pretty poop. So yeah, don't get me wrong, Hela wrecks house still. She's a lot stronger than Hawkeye in my opinion right now. She can just dish out way more damage, but yeah, I do not believe she's S tier by any means, just a very strong duelist. Next, we have Black Widow. It's not going to surprise anybody. I don't really know how this character fits unless she has that Hawkeye team up where she can just go crazy, pop her ultimate, and then just get a quadra kill and one-shot the entire team. But besides that, I don't really know how you can handle playing Black Widow at all. I know there's one guy that's very, very good at her and makes it work in top 500, but besides that, no other person makes her work. So with that being said, I haven't seen the potential she can put out, and I don't know when she works and how she works and what comps she would work in. I'm assuming it's just front to back and really good on defense compared to offense. Maybe good on offense if she can get a pick, but yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, she's still that character that everyone can dive, everyone can handle, and whenever I see her, even when the ones that have icons on her, they just do nothing. Consistently, they do the same thing, nothing. And they all have the icon on her. I feel like she needs more power, but if you give her more power, she'll be toxic and the game will just be bad because one shots will be in the game. So I don't know what she can get. I think I've seen the CC that she has on her like kick dash move, and it's pretty annoying. It's pretty random as well. I feel like a lot of players don't expect it, but again, she needs something going for her, which is kind of the one-shot potential, but it's pretty toxic. How I would fix her would be maybe give her more mobility. I think that's the one thing you can give these characters that don't have their damage potential. It's just more mobility. I wouldn't mind having to chase her around, giving her like a Hawkeye jump or something, maybe an Iron Fist double jump, maybe a wall run. I don't know. I feel like these characters just kind of need something to make themselves work, because personally, I don't mind them having mobility as long as they can't one-shot me. I personally prefer the vertical leaps and the high ground, and like if she has a fucking grappling hook like Punisher does, I don't care, but just give her something that she can escape me, or it can be a little bit more challenging to fight me as Thor, but then, you know, I can capitalize on that a lot easier because she can't go invincible or anything, and she can't, you know, go invisible, but she can maybe just jump away. I don't know. Either way, I feel like this character is just poop, and I'm throwing her in D tier. Next up, we have the nut character, the big nuts, dropping big nuts on your head, Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl, I think she's really strong on Midtown, the new map, and I think that she's strong on like the Tokyo map because it's so narrow and you can just bounce all of her nuts off the walls. That her ultimate ability being buffed was insane. I think it's nice to see that a lot of players are focusing it now as well. They're kind of breaking it more, but besides that, it does a lot of freaking damage, and you can kind of initiate a fight whenever you want and potentially get a support ultimate out. A lot of players don't expect the damage, and whenever they see their HP bar just kind of drop down to 1, they just get scared and ulti, so it's good for that. But besides just kind of spamming your ultimate, I don't really see her as too broken. I think that she puts a lot of pressure down though, and a lot of players can just sort of get staggered or just get overwhelmed by the amount of pressure and damage she has. It's a lot of damage output, I will say that, but I realistically believe she shouldn't be able to hit you too much as this character. It's just kind of one of those games you have to play where it might be a good game against her and it might not. I think that her Squirrel Ground ability where she roots you can be pretty overwhelming as well, and a lot of tanks don't expect it, especially as someone who plays Thor. I don't have a shield, I just have my bonus HP that I get on my abilities, so she can root you for 2 seconds or so and just kind of blast your ass. It's annoying, but as the game goes on and as you play against her more and more, it becomes more and more coordinated to just stay away from this hero and don't kind of run at her for 1v1s. And if she's playing aggressively, just kind of shoot your awakening shots at her and just deal with her like that. But besides that, she does a lot of damage, and I believe that she's not anyone to just throw into D tier or C tier anymore. I believe that with her CC, she has a lot of potential now. So with that being said, I'm going to put her in B tier. I think especially because her team up is so bad. Yeah, I give her applause. Squirrel Girl is slowly making herself back on top, and it's kind of hype. Hopefully they give her something more to work with, because that Spiderman bonus is just grimy, bruh. That thing is just trash. Any duelist combination I feel like has to be like completely broken. It's just so bad to just coordinate 2 duelists together and force them on each other. It's like, yeah, of course Black Widow and Hawkeye makes the most sense, but dog, now I have a Hawkeye and a Black Widow on my team together, come on. Anyways, Psylocke, I feel like this character is definitely one of the best duelists in the entire game. There's not much to say about her. She has hit scan on her left click. She has one of the fastest one-shot combos in the entire game. She handles Thor really, really well. She is by far one of the most annoying duelists to deal with. Her ultimate comes up insanely fast and she goes invincible. Will almost always burn a support ultimate because if not, they're just dead. Yeah, I think that she's super strong, and when in the right hands of a person who knows their limits, it's just broken. I can't deal with her ever. A tier for sure. top of A tier, almost S tier in my opinion, but yeah, very, very, very strong. Next up is StarLord, another very strong character that I struggle with immensely to deal with. I feel like his iframes are really bullshit. The iframes are just really weird. They're quote unquote iframes, but when I think of that, I think of Dark Souls, how you're literally getting an iframe, but in this game, iframes are half a second. So whenever you're dealing with him and you're shooting awakening shots at him, he can dash when your awakening shot comes out, and by the time it hits him, he will still be standing still, but it'll count as in the animation because for some reason it lingers a little longer than it feels like it should. Yeah, that's just StarLord for you. His dashes are annoying. Second ability where he kind of just dashes around you, makes it impossible to see him, and then he can escape any fight no matter what. That's the biggest point about these characters like Psylocke and StarLord, is that they can pick a fight with you whenever they want, and they can just leave a fight whenever they want to, and you can't do anything about it at all. If they're good enough, they'll just dash through you, run away, or they'll just hit you and fly away and just save their dashes to get around a wall or just escape you in general. They're very mobile, they're hit scan, they're annoying as hell, and their ultimates will almost always burn your support ultimates. That's the biggest point too. You are almost always guaranteed a support ultimate with these two characters. So that being said, I don't feel like they're S tier, but I think that they are completely game changing and very strong characters right now, and probably some of the best duelists to play in the entire game are listed right here. So enjoy that while you have it. Next up, we have the GoonKnight, a character that I feel like a lot of people are going to be astonished by where I'm going to put him, but I don't think he's that strong. His dash and escape are really predictable and just trash, and if he's soaring through the air, I feel like he should just be picked off by any other duelist in the entire game. I'm gonna throw the GoonKnight in B tier. I don't really have a list layout for these guys. I feel like just all of them together are B tier. Again, I feel like a lot of characters can just be put in A tier. I feel like in the right hands, any of these characters can be A tier, so I don't really have a list for the characters like in order of B tier ranking, but I'll just put him somewhere right here. The GoonKnight's strong. He's a very good combo with Groot, and he's maybe not bugged, but the Wikipedia needs to specify if his ultimate does AoE damage plus on-hit direct damage on his ultimate. But besides that, his ulti is strong, but I feel like realistically only one person should be dying to it almost ever, unless he has a fat Groot combo. I can pressure him insanely hard as THOR. I feel like he just gets owned, and I feel like any other duelist can do the exact same thing. I think that he just kind of is meh, but he has a really good combo with Groot, so yeah, that's about it. GoonKnight is a very meh character. Next up, we have Magik. I think that Magik can be also put in the A tier section, but because a lot of players don't play her correctly, and I think that she has kind of a hard time dealing with this like triple support meta. I feel like Magik likes to deal with more of like Vanguard melees and then supports sometimes, but when she has to deal with Loki runes, Mantis sleep, Luna freeze, rocket mobility, Atom soulbound, cloak invincibility, there's just so much bullshit to deal with. Oh yeah, invisible woman knocking her backwards, pushing her forward. There's a lot of bullshit when you have 3 supports constantly just bullying you, so I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like Magik is really strong, and in the right hands, she can go crazy, but from what I've seen, just the fact that she has a hard time getting there, I'm going to throw in B tier. Very strong hero, but just not insanely broken. Next up, we have a character that I feel like is insanely strong in the support meta. I feel like he can get the job done, and in the right hands, he's honestly probably one of the best duelists in the entire game for dealing with this triple support meta. We have Black Panther. I'm going to throw him in A tier immediately. Against Loki, he can destroy the clones, just kind of dashing through every single clone. He can get his passive off on each individual clone, and then just go dash, dash, dash. Against Mantis, he has a hard time dealing with the sleep. Obviously, everyone does. So if you can just coordinate a good dive with THOR, Venom, anyone, just get a good dive going, burn the sleep for both of them, use that as your main call out, and just say, yo, no sleep, go in, go in. It works out immensely. He can get AoE damage off, and in my opinion, a Black Panther will almost always go 1 for 2. If you have a good Black Panther, he will almost always go 1 for 2, and that's all you really need. As long as he ain't dying 1 for 1, and the 1 for 1 is like the Black Widow who's doing nothing in the backline. You know, if he's going 1 for 2, getting a duelist, getting a support, getting 2 supports, getting anybody. Either way, I feel like my Black Panthers always go crazy. They get AoE kills, and they follow up really, really good. So for what I've seen, he is still a menace to deal with, and his damage output is chef's kiss. A very good hero, and I put him in a strong A tier. If you can master him, you will go places, bruh, because Black Panther is very strong. Next one, and probably the best character in the entire game if I had a team up bonus going for us right now, but we don't, so I'll put him in the highest point of A tier. Namor, in my opinion, because of his invulnerability, because of his squids, because of the meta in general right now, and because of the Luna Snow buff that they gave him for some ungodly reason. But as you can see, they adjusted the throwing feel of Monstro Spawn and Frozen Squid, so now Namor can more accurately throw them to desired locations. So for some reason they buffed the squid. Namor in general handles a lot of the characters in general really, really well, but especially the diving characters. He demolishes them. With Luna Snow, his Monstro Squid is really annoying. It slows you, and it's one extra squid to deal with that a lot of players don't really shoot at. People are banning Luna Snow completely just to deal with Namor in general, and then once they pick Namor, they kind of just laugh at him because he's not too strong, but he is still very, very, very good. He's just not that abomination that I put in S tier when he has Luna Snow there. So that being said, yeah, watch out for his turrets and watch out for his left shift. It'll keep him alive pretty easily, but for Thor mains, just kind of wait that out. Don't use Awakening while he's in that shield mode and just dash on him in midair and then use your ultimate and you can handle Namor's pretty easily, but he is very strong. And any of these duelists are very, very good if you want to pick him up and you will gain lots and lots of points. Next up, we have Big Storm. I'm going to throw her in another big solid A tier. Storm kind of took that role of Tony Stark with the Hulk Gamma. You have the Storm bonus, but her bonus with Thor is not as strong as Gamma will ever be. So don't pick Thor just because you see a Storm in your team. You don't really need to cater to it too much, but either way, Storm is still very, very good right now. Her ultimate is very, very strong, and you almost always get a support ultimate from it, and because you have this speed bonus and damage bonus, you get your ultimate incredibly fast. You're constantly just buffing your teammates, which is giving you ultimate procs, and you're also just doing damage as a duelist constantly, so you're just getting your ultimate from there. So any good Storm, the biggest part about her is the fact that she can get her ultimate up incredibly fast, and you can just consistently burn support ultimates left and right and center, so it's just very annoying to deal with. That was the biggest problem I had with Storm. It wasn't her like big damage or anything. I feel like as Thor I can handle Storm pretty easily because her mobility while shooting at you is pretty low. It's not like Iron Man how she can kind of just soar around left to right, go into this like creative mode. Either way though, I put her in A tier because of her ultimate. Next up, we have another big fat D character. I have seen so many players try to make this character work as well, but I can't see it. It's not working still. I just feel like her biggest problem is her damage output. Like I genuinely believe a support like Luna Snow's Clap can 1v1 her. A Loki with a couple clones down can 1v1 her. A Mantis can 1v1 her. I just feel like her damage output is super low and she doesn't have anything going for her. I know that her kit is like Wolverine's where she has percent health damage built into her left click. If you go to her damage, it says 6 base damage plus 0.3% of an enemy's max health per hit. So she does deal with tanks a lot better than you'd say other characters do, but if you take her against a Venom or against a Thor, she's going to get destroyed at any point versus a Wolverine who can actually like own any of those characters. So I don't really know where they have her. I feel like if she could just handle characters like Spiderman, or like if she had this weird identity where she could kind of just creep up behind the Hela, and if she had initiative, maybe she could do more damage. I don't know, just give her something to where she can 1v1 these other characters like Psylocke or Hela, but as of right now, she's just stuck trying to 1v1 other characters that are just not meta. Like she does handle Iron Fist really well, or she handles Spider-Man really well, or Black Panther really well because she can just CC them, but any other character, she throws a CC at Hela, but she just gets one-tapped, or at Thor, but he just one-taps her in Awakening, or Venom goes in and dives on her and she tries to dash away and he just puts her in their little repel mode, like he grapples onto her, and she goes into her little stealth mode and he grapples onto her. She still is attached to him. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what they want her to do. I don't know what they want her identity to be. She kind of is stuck in this limbo area where apparently they want her to do tank shredding, but where? Where? Anyways, unfortunately, if you want to pick this character, just lock in Cloak and Dagger and you'll find more success. Next, we have our first, we have our S tier character. It is Wolverine, the Milverine, the Wolverineinator. Yeah, Wolverine, obviously once Team Captain showed us the way about the Wolverine percent health damage, everyone started picking him constantly, and they realized that his ultimate does a quadrillion damage as well whenever you have your passive fully stacked up. So just handling that and dealing with that, a lot of players don't want to. It is a very strong ultimate that kind of takes a lot of players out of the game. If for one is a one-shot to a lot of heroes, and besides that, I think the interaction is pretty toxic, how it kind of like lifts you in the air and you can't do anything for a couple seconds, and then he can slam down wherever he wants to if he has you in the air. He can even choose to slam anybody else, so if he wants to go on like, I don't know, a duelist or a strategist, it's pretty easy to land on them. He obviously has his counters, and any one trick who's out there who believes that their Wolverine is getting banned because you are the problem individually. It's not you, sir. It's not you. It is a character. He is just broken. Our first S tier is going to be Mr. Logang. Next up, we have Reed Richards. I've seen a couple Reed Richard mains, Mr. Fantastic mains, and I've seen a couple of them with the icons also. They have not added any impact to my game at all. I have not seen their potential at all. I had one guy who went crazy and strongly believed that he was the turning point of the game, but then everyone on my team agreed that it was just me and the Black Panther, so I have no idea what he was seeing. I want to put Reed honestly higher, and I wish he was the GOAT. He was supposed to be my GOAT, to be honest. I wanted him to be my Vanguard GOAT, but he was stolen away by the Duelist, and now he's in this weird limbo area where he just kind of sucks. I feel like his animations take too long to go through, and he doesn't do enough damage, sadly, even though I feel like he really can if you have a good setup comp, but I guess in comparison to other heroes like Hela and everything. So yeah, I'd throw him in D tier. There's no way I can put him higher than Spider-Man, bro. I strongly believe that Spider-Man can at least do something if he has a team-up bonus, but this guy can do nothing with his team-up bonus. He just sucks. Yeah, I haven't seen Reed do anything. I see the Spider-Man mains with the icons at least do something in my games, but both of them, 9 times out of 10, they do nothing, but I can safely say I've seen the Spider-Mans at least do work whenever they're the icons. That's it for the Duelist. I strongly do believe if you main any of these Duelists, you will be insanely high elo, and looking at this list, I'm happy with it, to be honest. I feel like these characters are very strong, and these are weak. Yeah, with our first Vanguard, we have Magneto. Be wary. So Magneto obviously is one of the strongest Vanguards in the game because of his shields. It's come to my attention, and I didn't even know this about him because I don't play Magneto, but I feel like his kit reminded me very heavily of Zarya's, obviously, because you can give a shield to somebody like she can. But the bubble, I didn't think it did anything. I was like, oh, you know, you can break it, but it doesn't do much like Zarya's shield does. How, you know, if you break her shield, it gives her some damage. But it's come to my attention that it actually does. It has a 300 shield, and it grants 1 charge of Iron Ring for every 100 damage it absorbs. So Iron Ring is his passive. Iron Ring does 40 damage, the second charge is 65, and the third is 90. So, if his shield is completely broken, you get full charge, meaning that you can do pretty big combos if you open up with your left click, then your right click, and then you put a shield on somebody, it breaks because they kill it, and then you murder them again with your right click. Yeah, you can kind of pop off King, and I can see it doing big damage. I had no idea that he actually had a good response to that. Besides that, Magneto is incredibly strong because of his ultimate. He can take out the best characters in the game right now in a swift motion. That would be Cloak and Dagger. That would be Luna Snow. You can handle them very easily by just ulting, waiting for it to charge up, and then just throwing it on top of them. Not only them, but you can handle almost every other character in the entire game. Duelist-wise, you know, your Punishers, Loki, Adam Warlock. As long as they have no ability up to save them like Soulbound or Runes, you will just one-shot them. So because he can solo tank and because he's essential in this meta right now, I do feel like he has to be put in the S tier role. There are so many times where triple support is laid out and Mag can just solo tank, and he's going to be the best choice because he can do what I just said, kill any of the supports immediately and just remove that extra ultimate that's going to be in the game. But again, like I said, if you don't have mobility or any way to escape, if you're a Namor without a bubble, you're Hela without a bird, you're a Moon Knight without a jump, you're just screwed. You know, Punisher, Hawkeye, any of those characters, they're just screwed. They're going to get a big rock on their head. So yeah, be wary. Magneto is the best Vanguard in the game right now. And if you want free rank ups, play him, bro. He's very good. Next up, we have the Hulkinator. The Hulkinator is very, very strong. The Gamma bonus is still incredibly broken. In my opinion, it turns Tony Stark from B tier to almost S tier, and turns Strange from wherever he's going to be to top tier. So yeah, because of that, Hulk can do the job of Captain America very well, which is just stalling. His ultimate is very strong, and you can always get a Luna Snow ultimate out of it if you don't kite him very well. He can just burn a lot of your support ultimates. He does a lot of damage, and besides that, he can stall payload objectives very long. Hulk's a very good hero, and because of his Gamma, he has his own little meta around him and his own little comp around him. So yeah, because of that, I put him in A tier. Obviously, I don't want to say team ups to be why a character is good, but because he's the anchor of that team up, it kind of changes how it is viewed. It's one of those things where by picking him, you're enabling other heroes, and that is forced into my view of his kit. But yeah, not only that, you can counter flying characters really well with your Gamma. You can stop Strange ultimate, and you can counter his ultimate by spitting on him or by shielding yourself, shielding your teammates. The shield is very good. Any shield in this game is very good in general. Yeah, you're a really good peeler. You're a really good initiator. You stall for a very long time, and your kit overall is very strong. So yeah, Hulk's a very good A tier Vanguard. Next up, we have Doctor Strange. I think, honestly, thinking about it in my head, I was going to say his lack of damage, but he has no lack of damage at all. I was going to say his lack of engage, but he has no lack of engage at all. I was going to say his lack of mobility, but he has no lack of mobility at all. His teleport is insane. His team up is insane. If you're not looking at that, then either way. And yeah, he can solo tank. So honestly, there's almost no reason for me not to put Strange in S tier. I think my bias comes from the fact that Thor can handle him pretty well in 1v1 situations, but Strange can play both roles of defense and offense, and you can also solo tank with Strange really easily, whereas Thor can't solo tank too well at all. So yeah, I want to put Strange in A tier, but honestly, for all those reasons, I think that he's S tier. Yeah, I think there's no reason to not put him in S tier. His ultimate burns Luna's ultimate almost always. His damage will burn through Invisible Man. I'm pretty sure you can one-shot through that if you have Gamma and you're at 100%. So yeah, you can do some nasty things with Strange. And his portal will forever be one of the best additions to a game like this. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, I think that because Strange can solo tank and he can be played offense and defense, he's very, very strong. S tier character for sure. Next we have Peni Parker. I don't see her too often. I feel like she's pretty strong because of her right click, which is her web ability where she can lock you up for 2 seconds. I don't see her enough to put her anywhere besides down in C tier. I think in the right hands, she can go crazy, but only on defense and on offense. I don't really know how you make her work. Her mines are her main damage threat, and if you don't have those set up, then I don't really know how you can make her work on offense. That being said, maybe if I was in Europe, I could see her potential against that one guy that plays her, but I play North America, so as of right now, no Peni mains have taught me the way, and she's gonna stay in C tier. Next, we have Captain America. I think that he is very strong in this meta, only because I believe he does really well against Moon Knight. He does really well against Punisher, Hela, Hawkeye. I think that these characters that are standstill, just shooting arrows across the map, or just sitting with their supports, I think that he can deal with them pretty well, and you can create a lot of chaos in the back line, especially because a lot of supports can't really hit him too easily. So yeah, I feel like honestly Captain America is very strong in this meta, but because he can't play solo tank and you can kind of play him like a duelist more than a vanguard, that kind of brings his momentum down pretty low. You have to put him comparatively to the other vanguards, and comparatively to these two, they do the vanguard role way better than he does, but he is still one of those characters that you can pull off really well, and because of that, I think that he's a strong B tier character. I think with his bonus, he is probably a low A tier character. You can get a lot of damage off. You can handle a lot of mobile characters like StarLord, Iron Man, and you can get your ultimate up really fast, especially with that buff, but I wouldn't say he's anywhere near S tier at all, and I think he has a lot of potential, just not a solo tank, unfortunately. Next up, we have the moment that everyone's been waiting for. Where'd I put my GOAT? My one trick, Mr. Thor. So, for the same reasons that you can't do it all, I don't want to put him in S tier, but I do feel like this character is insanely underrated, and he is one of the best tanks in the entire game. If not the best off tank in the entire game, better than Hulk. I feel like the potential you have to create chaos in the back line and stall out fights, get around, jump around, one-shot supports, and the fact that your ultimate doesn't get canceled anymore by anything, it's insane. You can always get a kill against Luna Snow, or Mantis, or Adam Warlock, or Loki, even Cloak, if you just wait patiently and you use your Lightning Realm to your advantage to slow enemies, and then you can just ulti on top of them. I genuinely believe that Magneto and Thor are some of the best Vanguard together in general, and I feel like those two characters, if played well enough in a 2-2-2, they can handle any triple support meta. They are insanely strong together, and I genuinely believe that Thor is the best off tank in the entire game, and he well deserves his spot at high A tier. If you want to play him like a duelist, you can, and just have Mag be your solo Vanguard, but no matter what, this character it should not be slept on as much as he is, and I feel like if you can just put the hours in, he's just broken. Not a lot of players ever, I think no players ever actually from my League Legends days, no players ever put their character in their one trick this high. They're always like, oh yeah, my character sucks, and they cry about him constantly, and that's their excuse to not ranking up. But no, I do feel like my character is really strong. I just feel like not a lot of players know how to play with him really, and again, he can't solo tank. He struggles on defense, and he can't solo tank as well as a Magneto or a Strange can, and because of that, just won't never work out as well as it will for characters that are playing solo tank. So I find myself playing Loki a lot just to fill that void, but I've been trying to make it work more and more and more, and just putting the hours in and just not going off Loki, and just trying to figure out these situations and how I can make Thor work always. And from what I figured out, you can make him work really, really, really well. And in situations where the game looks doomed and feels doomed, if you use communication and talk to your team, this character's a monster, dude. He's an absolute monster. Yeah, give him a chance. If you are wanting an off tank and you're sick of Strange and Magneto just kind of chilling, then yeah, try out Thor, bro. He's very fun, and in my opinion, he is the best off tank in the entire game. Next up, we have I Am Groot. Groot is another one of those characters where I struggled to put him in one of the tiers, but I figured out that I'm just going to throw him in a strong A tier. I feel like he can cause a lot of chaos. He can counter Cloak and Dagger pretty hard. throw up a wall. She can't ulti at all. Pretty hype. You have the Moon Knight combo. He gets countered by Wolverine pretty hard, but who doesn't? Besides that, I feel like he does a lot of work. He's got a lot of HP to work with, and if you're good enough and can utilize your damage with the walls, yeah, Groot's a solid pick. I don't really ever see a world where he's not that good. I feel like if you have a good defensive backline who can handle themselves and peel themselves, then he's really good. But he doesn't handle like a Magik or a Panther like maybe a Strange or a Thor could, but I still feel like he can have a lot of potential, and because of that, yeah, solid A tier Vanguard. I don't feel like he is as hard to make work as some of these other characters because he is more of a front to back type character, and front to back type characters are way easier to work with than divers always. Venom. I put Venom strongly in B tier. I think this character is very, very good, and if you just sit down and watch Y Andrew's stream for 10 minutes, you can figure out how much more broken a character becomes when you give communication to a person in real life. I think that this character is single-handedly gonna be way more broken by if you just want to use your comms and just talk to your team, because the disruption you give is very strong, but if people don't know you're doing it at the right time, it's very fast. It happens like that. It happens immediately, and they're only slowed and knocked up for a split second. So if your team's not ready for it, then yeah, Venom kind of sucks. He can't do anything by himself and will just get blown up. But because you can survive for so long, and because your disruption it results in everybody focusing you, which is the number one thing, is everyone's turning their camera to look at you, and then they're also getting slowed and they're getting knocked up for a little bit. So hopefully in that time, you have somebody responding like a Hela, a Black Panther, somebody just shooting at them so you can capitalize on the fact that you're going in and causing chaos. Obviously, I feel like if he could get kills by himself, and in those situations where he was 1v5, if he could like turn that around and get a kill, then yeah, you'd be S to A tier. He'd just be broken. But because he does his job enough, I don't think that he is by any means poop, but I think that he just results. But I feel like he just requires a good team, and that's all that is a big problem. You know, you can't solo carry on him at all, and if you're in bronze, I would say go play somebody else. But if you're in super high elo, I feel like you're going to see a lot better results than you would in a lower elo game. He just can't carry. That's the main problem. He needs a good team. Next up, we have Mantis. I would put Mantis way higher in season 0, but as of right now, there are so many better strategists right now. I'm gonna throw her in solid B tier. I think her damage bonus and her sleep is still pretty annoying to deal with, but her ultimate is super underwhelming in comparison to Invis, Cloak and Dagger, obviously Luna Snow, then Loki, then you have even like Adam Warlock. But by no means do I feel like Mantis sucks. She can still handle diving characters very well, but in my opinion, I'll just rather have a Cloak and Dagger or a Loki. In that situation, they just have better abilities to handle diving characters. But yeah, Mantis is Mantis. I don't feel like I ever take her ultimate as Loki unless I have to like get one clutch moment out. So just saying that makes me really realize, you know, how low I'd put her on the priority list. But yeah, next up we have Cloak and Dagger. I think that she's going to take the spot, of course, for our next S tier character. Her ultimate is just insanely broken. I'm not sure why that would make it 4 ticks instead of 3, but because of that, she has 20 seconds of invulnerability to work with, which just makes it incredibly unstoppable and makes her by far the best strategist in the entire game. But not only that, is the swap time being faster makes it so she can handle Doctor Strange ultimate a lot easier. Thor, obviously, she could always handle him really easy, but Cloak and Dagger mains absolutely destroy Thor, and her Discord orb, aka her blind, is insanely strong as well. Honestly, in my opinion, whenever I play as Loki and I ulti and change to her, I always look for the fattest Discord or the fattest blind, and I feel like I almost always hit it as well. And with that, not only do you get a blind, but you're getting your not only are you hitting the enemies with a blind, but you're also hitting the enemies with a vulnerability for 3 seconds, which essentially makes them take 20% extra damage. So it's like a little Discord orb from Zenyatta. But yeah, I feel like that changes the fight alone. Just kind of ulting, and then I'll put a fat Discord orb on all of them, a fat blind, ulting, and then blinding the entire backline. But then past that, I can't even count the amount of times that for some reason a Doctor Strange will ulti me as Cloak and Dagger after I either ulti, or yeah, it would just be immediately after I ulti. I'm still as Cloak and Dagger, so I'm not sure why they're ulting me, but it happens quite a bit, and then I'll just save my team by just doing the little shroud move as cloak. So I don't know. Either way, that character is insanely strong. If I could make a recommendation to NetEase, I don't know why they didn't just make her have 4 ticks and make each tick be 3 seconds. I don't know why they kept it as 5. Obviously, 3 seconds, 4 ticks would be 12 total, which is the same as Luna Snow, 12 seconds. So I feel like that makes more sense. I feel like that's just the best change to her. But either way, right now we have to deal with a character that has 20 seconds of invincibility, and her kit honestly is very, very overloaded. I feel like her E ability and her right click as dagger even is insanely strong, and I think you can even dagger storm dagger's right click. I'm pretty sure you can like basically survive a Psylocke ultimate if you have enough characters inside the ultimate, plus you're inside that little dagger storm. Yeah, it's very strong. Either way, next up we have Adam Warlock. I feel like he is very, very strong. He's one of those characters that is still underrated, and in the right hands, you have the StarLord buff. Obviously, again, it's hard to take that into consideration because it is a team-up bonus, but he is the anchor, so you have to just look at it like that. With that being said, I don't think his healing by any means is broken, but his soul bond ability can keep a lot of his teammates alive, and then also his passive, making it so he can revive, and then also having his ultimate in general, making it revive. It really takes the triple support meta to a different level. If you have a Cloak and Dagger and a Loki, then having the extra Adam Warlock revive, it's just toxic. It makes the game really, really annoying to deal with, and genuinely, in the right hands, I feel like this character is still insanely strong. That being said, I'm going to throw this character into A tier. I think he's low A tier, and he can teeter on A and B tier because his base kit is very, very strong and can change a lot of games. Next up, we have Jeff the Shark, and I feel like this one's going to take a lot of people by storm. Obviously, in the very beginning, we had players putting Jeff the Shark in like S tier because of his ultimate, but still, I do believe that Jeff the Shark with the Luna Snow bonus and without it is a very, very strong support. I think he's just not played correctly at all. There's a single player that I've seen named Bubblegum who plays Jeff the Shark crazy good. This player will just go behind them the entire time and just hack Tua on them, and genuinely it is the most weird and annoying playstyle I've ever seen. But if you think about it, Jeff's right click is out here doing 40 damage, so it's just kind of like 40 damage per shot, and he can shoot 1.75 rounds per second. It's kind of gross. He can just destroy a duelist HP before they even go into a fight, forcing the supports to constantly turn around and just look at them. It's kind of like this really weird damage where it's good in a sense because it takes the team out of their flow, but he's just kind of poking the enemy down the entire time, which in theory can be worse because the healers just get free healing the entire time and they get their ultimates faster. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting playstyle, and when I saw it executed, it was strange, but it worked out a lot, and this player ended up being top 500. So yeah, I don't know. I changed my mind about Jeff the Shark heavily, and I feel like in the right hands and if you're playing the right playstyle, Jeff can be pretty gross. So a lot of players don't really know how to execute him. Besides that, his ultimate and his healing output is pretty strong in general. Next up, we have Invisible Woman. I think that she is very, very strong. Obviously, her ultimate takes the game and changes it completely, counters a lot of ultimates like Luna Snow and Cloak and Daggers does, and her knockback is, in my opinion, probably her main focus here. Her shield's strong as well, but getting knocked back and pulled back in, pushed away, it's very, very annoying. She changes the game heavily against Doctor Strange, against divers like Thor or Wolverine. She can just pull them in and troll them pretty hard, getting your team free kills. She's very frustrating to deal with as a person who dives in constantly, and because of that, I think that her generating a lot of heals and her ultimate being as good as it is, she's not really anyone bad at all. I just throw her into a solid A tier, right above Adam Warlock. Next up, we have another really broken character. In my opinion, she has always been strong. Her ultimate is still very, very strong. You can't do that little fluttering thing where you go between damage and healing, but you still do a lot of healing output. You can dish out probably the best healing output in the entire game behind Cloak right now, because Cloak is just, her ultimate's absurd. But with that, her being the anchor of Namor as well is just insanely strong. Luna Snow, in my opinion, offers so much in her kit alone with her healing, and she offers a lot in her team-up bonuses alone. Yeah, not really much to say about Luna Snow. She's been in the game since Alpha, and she's still the exact same character. Her clap's strong, her healing output's strong, and her direct healing is insanely strong as well. Luna Snow, S tier character. Next up, we have my secondary GOAT. This character is, in my opinion, honestly one of the best characters in the entire game if you can learn how to play him. His runes, his clones, his healing output, everything. He is just an S tier character in general. His ultimate, everything about Loki is just broken in my opinion. He can't direct heal flyers, but if you just know how to play around him pretty well, if flyers play against walls, play against buildings, you can heal them just as effectively, and any basic tank, if you have just you and one other clone down, you can keep them alive better than any other Loki, Cloak. It's insane healing. Runes counter every single ability down to Psylocke ultimate, Black Panther, Winter Soldier. Obviously, he gets resets off your clones, but they can counter his ultimate still. Iron Man, Magneto, Wolverine, Venom, Groot especially. There's so many ultimates that this counters, it's not even funny. Runes are just completely broken. And then your ultimate as well, just being able to copy Cloak and Dagger's ultimate, making it so you have 40 seconds of invulnerability instead of just 20. It's completely absurd. That ultimate is always going to be one of the best ultimates in the entire game, unless they make it so you don't get someone's full ultimate charge whenever you change into them, but that'll just make them kind of indirectly bad. So we're keeping Loki at S tier permanently, in my opinion. His healing output is still very, very good. It's insane damage as well. If you ever want to play Loki like a diver or a ninja, you can just kind of go crazy, go invisible, put a clone down while you're still invisible, appear out of nowhere and just one-shot somebody. And then if he gets crusty, just put your runes down or just teleport out of there. Yeah, I don't know. Loki, in my opinion, is insane. Last but not least, we have Mr. Rocket Raccoon. He's one character that's played incredibly often for some reason. You have all these memers going around, the no damage rockets. You have one guy who exposed himself, no damage rocket, but he shot one time, 24 damage. This guy's a gosh darn fucking fraud. Expose him. But either way, Rocket Raccoon, he is very strong because of his revive. He is very strong because of his team up bonus with Punisher and Mr. Bucky Barnes. Obviously, I put them pretty high because of that team up bonus, and he is the anchor, so he's going to be fitting somewhere in that B to A range. Yeah, I don't know. I think that Rocket Raccoon's ultimate's very strong as well, and if you have a Loki and a Cloak and Dagger, you don't really need to worry about any other ultimate. You can just kind of run the Rocket Raccoon, run double duelist, run single Vanguard, and the game works out fine. Rocket's healing, I feel like, because a lot of players that are playing him right now, they are very, very used to how to get good healing, especially the ones that aren't shooting their left click. So I think that I've grown accustomed to Rocket's healing, and you can be really, really deep, but all of a sudden you'll be getting healed from these small little orbs that are just flying around the room. And I feel like it's because a lot of these players, they know the curvature of the maps, they know how to get these jump shots off, where if you're really deep on like Clintar or something, they can shoot it off the walls and it'll be bouncing forever till it gets to you. And I've noticed that. I can safely say that I've noticed that quite a bit. Some of these Rocket players will average insane healing because they just know how to reach these corner bouncing angles that a lot of other players that just kind of casually play Rocket don't really know how to hit. So with that being said, his revive also changes the game heavily. A lot of players don't look for it whenever they're diving for some reason, and that can just be, oh, nice, we got a pick on Strange, and we burnt RZ to get that pick, but now, you know, they just revived them, so that pick meant nothing, and now you have to wait for your cooldowns to recycle again while you're on offense, and it just takes a big toll in the game whenever you're just getting constantly fluctuated in and out, and the kills mean nothing because you can just get the small little revive off. So yeah, because of that, I feel like he still has a lot of potential, and his ultimate is big game changing. You can obviously kill people through Cloak and Dagger ultimate or Luna ultimate if you have the damage bonus plus like a Punisher ultimate or something, or like even Thor ultimate plus Rocket Raccoon ultimate. If they're inside of that, it will do big damage. You can one-shot a Luna Snow through your ultimate or a Cloak and Dagger through your ultimate. So yeah, keep that in mind as a Thor player. Anyone out there, if you have a Rocket Raccoon main, you can throw that bitch down while you're coming down and slamming the ground, then who knows, maybe you can get a big combo off, maybe you can get a little montage going. But yeah, Rocket Raccoon, I'm gonna throw him in a solid B tier. I don't think that he fits anywhere above or below these characters. I feel like he's just kind of B tier. Yeah, here's my tier list. Again, not a lot of these characters are in order of like the best to worst. They're just kind of there. Stay tuned for more content like this as well, for just Thor in specific, who Thor plays best with and who Thor plays best against. I feel like a lot of players want to know who to dive whenever they're in situations where they can go crazy in the backline and offense. So yeah, I'm gonna have a video posted about that, who I think the best characters to dive are on Duelist or on Strategist. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little tier list. I enjoyed talking, I enjoyed making it, and hopefully it was concise but still kept you guys entertained. Peace, 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 boys. See ya.